Hello, everyone. Dr. Ames here. This time, I'd like to talk to you about some of the elements of diversity we really haven't discussed much. So far, our discussions have focused on ethnicity and to a somewhat lesser extent on gender. But this time, just to mention what the course is really going to focus on. For instance, ethnicity and gender certainly are elements of diversity, but so is something like religion. We are going to encounter people throughout our lives and our professional experiences and at work of different religions, and we just have to be open-minded about these sorts of things and be as accommodating as possible. Generally, just like any approach to a diverse element, we want to look to where what the things that we have in common and that we share, and have an open mind about learning and really understanding. Similarly, culture is another diverse element that we will have to deal with. People from different cultures live in a different reality from each other. And when these realities collide, sometimes we have culture clash, as they say. We can minimize that simply by knowing some of the basic elements of culture. We will certainly talk about the way culture is classified internationally by the experts, and we'll use that framework as a basis of understanding a lot of different things. So culture does matter. For instance, in America, we're very achievement oriented. We're a little bit more oriented on the individual and focused on individual achievement than most other cultures in the world. So we are in a minority of thought and action. Most of the world is quite the opposite. They have bigger networks, support networks of people and family, and they are much more collective in nature, where they tend to take care of each other a little bit more and have wider support. Um, but we have all these other rich elements of diversity that we normally don't think of in those terms. Disability, for instance. There are so many millions of disabled people in this country, and these disabilities range from small nagging things that are just a challenge to daily life, but they don't impair you in any major way, to very serious disabilities that affect your life quality and your ability to live normally. So disability is certainly a diverse element. And then we have age generational cohorts. There is no doubt about it that different populations of people, grouped together more or less by when they were born, have developed some common characteristics. It doesn't mean that everybody in any given generational group is exactly the same, but it does mean they've shared some common experiences that have shaped their life and their approach to looking at the world. And so today, our most recent generational cohort is Generation Z. And this pretty much includes anyone born from about 1996 until now. You people, many of which you guys fall into that category, have been born into a certain world with a certain set of circumstances. And before you were the millennials, born into a different sort of world. Before them were the Gen Xers, and before them were their parents, the baby boomers, and before them, the seniors or the traditional generation, or whatever you want to call them. Each of these population groups over time became shaped by significant events that happened during their lives. Well, think of some of the really significant things you've seen during your life. You've seen a waking of racial identity in this country, an acknowledgement that there's been a lot of inequity over time. You are the most diverse generation in history, and so forth. So there are many things that distinguish you beyond, say, even the millennials, your older brothers and sisters, or your uncles and aunts, and so forth. So that is another element of diversity. Um, and then we have lookism. Lookism is appearance discrimination. There is so much diversity in the way that we look and so forth amongst each other. We're all unique. Tall, short, skinny, fat, different colors, different ethnicities, and so forth. People are beautiful, people are ugly. Well, all of those factors result in some sort of diverse elements, and all of them actually affect your careers and how much money you make and things like that. And then, of course, we've got maybe a couple of the most confusing of all, gender and sexuality. Gender is what you are born biologically, But if your mind doesn't match your body, then you have an issue with sexuality and you are trying to determine who you really are, and so forth. And we have many people that fall into that category today. So we have to keep an open mind. We have to accept that this is just another element of diversity and that we have to understand people the best we can. And for crying out loud, let's just show a little empathy to these different groups. People who are different from us in a variety of ways, as you can see from all these labels here. And then certainly the final one that's on the page here, and I know we could list others if we really wanted to sit around and brainstorm, education. We are of different educational levels and so forth. It does change you the more education you get, the way you think, the way you reflect on the world and how the world seems to you. And there are some themes in the country related to education. For one, there's an anti-academic, anti-intellectual theme out there. There has been since the very beginning and inception of our country, just like there's an anti-scientific theme and so forth. So there are many ways to think about diversity. When we are managers and owners of businesses and have to operate in organizations and in the workplace, we do have a choice to make. The kind of manager, the kind of person that we're going to be and how we're going to treat people. And so it becomes a matter of substance, not necessarily versus style, but and style. Why not make your managerial style of working with people a leadership style? A style that is open-minded and embraces cross-cultural differences. Remember, the more cross-culturally savvy you can become, the better communicator you'll be, the more successful your company will be, and generally more successful and well-liked you're going to be. So substance means accepting that there are different ways of doing things and be receptive to them when you come across them and see that, hey, that really is a good idea. I really like that approach. Today, we see it reflected in the workplace with the use of these self-managing teams. The more diverse they are, it seems the better results we get. And we tend to find that our leaders and managers of the best and brightest organizations, the ones that are the most successful, the ones where people don't want to leave and don't quit their jobs, or where leaders act as facilitators. They're always trying to help you develop as a professional and as an individual. They're always trying to make connections rather than point out errors and go around reminding people of their authority. So when you have a style like that, that really is substantive. It shows that you appreciate people for their uniqueness and so forth. So really, that means you must be responsive if you want to be successful. If you want to really become multiculturally savvy, then pay attention to people. Try and learn what is going on. Even if you don't understand it, it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. So you want to attract the best people for your organizations. And you want those people to really prosper as well as your organization. Okay, folks, that's all I want to talk about this time. I'll talk to you again soon.